Hi, my name is Yadnik Bendale and I will be giving the description of my code for ESE 5190 part D, where we have to determine by the press of the button if it will be a dash, dot or a space. So beginning with the preprocessor directives and constants. So these are our preprocessors and preprocessor directives and constants. After that we have our Morse code timing constants. So these constants will basically specify the timings for distinguishing between Morse code dots, dashes and spaces based on the button press. After that we have our button state enumeration. So we've created a state machine over here which will be used to maintain and check the current state of the button, if it is idle, pressed or just released. After that we have the button state enumerations, which will use to maintain and check the current state of the button, whether it is idle, pressed or released in this place. After that we have our set hardware function, which will set up the necessary hardware configurations. After that, so basically in the setup hardware we will set the input pin as input and enable the pull-up resistor for the button. So basically our input pin over here will be PB0, where the switch has been connected to. So going on to the timer 1 setup, so TCC R1B is our timer counter control register B for timer 1. ICES1 is our input capture edge select, which will determine if the input capture is triggered on the rising edge or the falling edge, and this code starts with it being as unset. CS12, CS11, CS10 are the clock select bits which determine the prescaler for the timer. So over here we are setting CS12 and clearing CS11 and CS10, which will set the prescaler to 256. We have TIM SK1, which is a timer counter interrupt mask register for timer 1. ICIE1, which enables the input capture interrupt for timer 1. TO IE1, which enables the timer overflow interrupt for timer 1, and SEI, which will enable our global interrupts. After that we have our process button press function, which checks the duration of the button press and sends the corresponding Morse code characters over UART. Now moving on to our main function, where we will initially configure our hardware settings and initialize UART communication with the specific baud rate that is required. Our while one function, the switch case statements that we have put in our while one function, will check the current state of the button. So depending on the state, it will calculate the press duration or processes the button press for the Morse code. Going on to the interrupt service routines now. Here we have our timer 1 underscore capped underscore vect. So this ISR handles input capture events for timer 1. So what we are doing here is that with the operation, we will check if the input capture is set to trigger on the rising edge, and what ICR1, which is our input capture register for timer 1, will capture the current value of timer 1 when an input capture event occurs. After that we will be going to our ISR for timer 1's overflow. So this ISR will basically handle the timer overflow for timer 1, and it will increment an overflow counter to keep a track of how many times timer 1 has overflowed. So if the time exceeds a certain limit, indicating a space in Morse code, a space character is sent over UART. Now going towards the implementation of the hardware. So we will be opening our serial port over here, and it can be seen that the data is being continuously transmitted over UART by the blinking of the TX LED. So we will be opening it. So initially we will be going for the dots. So initially you can see that we are getting dots with the presses. After that we will be going for the dashes. So it can be seen that we have been getting dashes over here now. with longer presses, and if we leave it for like the particular period that has been assigned, we will be just observing spaces. Thank you.